Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow. What you're seeing on the screen right now is something that a lot of people on Reddit and maybe a bunch of subs may have been encountered with over the whole lifespan that Reddit's been around. This is a notice that I have been permanently banned from a particular subreddit. And you might be seeing on the screen which subreddit it is. This is the coronavirus subreddit. This is the one that Reddit tries to shill to you every time you enter the Reddit front page, regardless of whether or not you are subbed to that particular subreddit. They will still try to tell you to sub to it even though you might have already been. Now, on the surface, that may be a good thing that you can go and find the latest news and developments about what's been going on in the world of COVID and coronavirus and what the facts are and stuff like that. However, if you are not new to the channel and you are somebody who has watched my content over the past couple of months, you may have been aware of something else that's been going on this subreddit, which is the suppression of certain facts and certain news about the virus that may interest you, but they don't feel as though it is of high quality in order to share with you. That being, it does not match up to what they want you to see or hear. Now, I don't know what their definition of trolling is. However, what I do know is that this came on the heels of me posting something on this particular subreddit on one of their threads about Dr. Fauci, and I think it was him saying that masks are going to be a thing of the past soon for the fully vaccinated. Now, what you're seeing on the screen right now is at least part of what I was responding to up on the top end of the screen, and I used my phone's screen capture feature in order to get these screen caps. I'm not sure if I can still get these screen caps through my computer, so please bear with me as I use this in order to illustrate my point. I do not know if this is the entirety of the person's post that I was responding to. However, the person who is being responded to at one point said, "I'm only on FB to follow a couple hobbies and interests I have and stick to those groups. Still, the amount of anti-vax, COVID-denying, anti-science ignorant BS that pops up regularly is absolutely mind-blowing." Now, you might have seen by now how I responded, and this is where it gets a little bit dicey here. What I'm asking here is, quote, "Not saying you're completely wrong, but you need to define what we view as anti-vax and anti-science ignorant BS. The amount of things that are being labeled as such just because they aren't agreeing with every last detail with the fear porn our officials and media sell us is baffling, and the way they've used the many elements of a serious health risk to divide us politically, both sides have, and no side is any less guilty or innocent in doing that, has been deplorable at best." Now, for those people who are not familiar with Reddit and how the upvote downvote system works, you may have noticed that it's getting 5 downvotes. The way that Reddit works, for those people who do not know how Reddit works, is that the moderators and administrators of that particular subreddit might have a default way of sorting what is considered hot topics, the topics that are getting a lot of upvotes, or new comments, or controversial comments or posts. Depending on how it is sorted by default, you may see maybe the most upvoted one at the top of the page first, regardless of whether or not it's new. The reason why that's the case is because a lot of people think that this is a popular thing or a hot topic or a very good opinion or post. However, a lot of people have taken advantage of this system. The way that it is actually being used is that those people who are touting the subreddit line or what is the group think of that particular subreddit, and this is not all subreddits that are on that system, but most of them that are more popular is that they will vote the ones that are touting the same things that they are, who are subscribing to the groupthink or subscribing to the hive mind. They're the ones that get upvoted, and anybody who dares to challenge that viewpoint, who dares to challenge the status quo, it's going to get downvoted, and it will get taken down to the bottom of the pile. If it gets so many downvotes, it'll become collapsed. You will have to click on it in order to see what that person even said. And for a while, when there was all these crazy people joining onto this subreddit, because again, Reddit decided to put this one and shove this one down our throats on the front page is they got so many of the trolls that infest these other subreddits to the point where you can't even reason with some of these people. Those started to go onto this subreddit and started to spout off vitriolic behavior and anti-free speech behavior and stuff like that. Now, when I say anti-free speech, I'm not talking about anti-vax, I'm not talking about anti-mask or whatever anti you want to put to it. I'm talking about just people who dare to question even one simple letter of what was the approved way to mitigate this disease. You may have heard the term doomers being uttered so many times. That is what was infesting this subreddit. The reason they are called doomers is that no matter what good news came out of anything, they found some way to make it into a bad situation. If they say, oh, the vaccines are coming, like, okay, but where, if they're tested, are they tested or not? Now all of a sudden they're out. Now everybody wants people to go get vaccinated without even a one question. Even though those same people were questioning them earlier when those vaccines were being tested and being advertised as a way to get out of it. Back then they were saying that we need to know the side effects, we need to know all this and all that. Now all of a sudden we should ignore all of that. And that's the way it was. And those people who dared to challenge even one single letter of what they were saying were getting near 300 downvotes or maybe even 400 downvotes, as I got a few times when I tried to post some kind of reason to what they were saying. And it got so crazy that you had these people who would do this subreddit stalking, where they go and look at your post history and see whether or not you posted in one of those skepticism subreddits. And there are some out there. There are the lockdown critical left, as I said before. And there's also one that was called mass skepticism. And that one actually got sabotaged into Reddit banning and deleting the subreddit because somebody decided that it was in their best interest to post vitriolic threats on that subreddit when they did all they could in order to stop that from happening. Apparently it wasn't enough because of reasons. And of course you have No New Normal, which that one, even though it has a comprehensive meta thread, which has a bunch of different resources that counters the evidence that masks are effective and should be mandated, it has a tendency to go very right wing at times and borderline anti-vax. And if it wasn't for that one particular meta thread, those people who were left leaning, I don't know if that would be the right way to go, because they post a lot of memes and stuff like that. So I would say if you're a left leaning person, Lockdown Critical Left is the best place to go for more balanced talk about skepticism, about lockdowns and stuff like that. And yeah, I've posted on those from time to time. There's no harm in doing that because I do want to have a balanced discussion about these topics. I want to have all the facts, not just those that some person has deemed worthy of me to see, even if it means that I'm still on the side of vaccinations and stuff like that. Okay, but I want to see all the facts. I want to know what every expert is saying, not just those that the government or the mainstream media has deemed appropriate for me to see. If you have more than that, I want to see it. And that doesn't make me a Fox News watching right-wing hack. I'm far from that. I don't think I have to prove myself that I am not right-leaning when I'm saying that we need to have all the facts. Questioning big pharmaceuticals should be a progressive viewpoint. That's what they have done for years, and all of a sudden now we're not allowed to do that. I don't know why that is. However, I'm getting ahead myself here because what you're seeing down below on the next post is what constituted, I believe, to what you're hearing about right now. And before I go any further, I want to inform you that this particular moderator I am hearing, this is not the first time that they have gone off the rails and beyond the pale into censoring certain viewpoints. Here is what this particular moderator is saying about this post. Quote, "Your comment has been removed because you should contribute only high quality information. We require that users submit reliable, fact-based information to the subreddit and provide an English translation for an article in the comments if necessary." I did not submit any kind of article whatsoever in this post. In this post, I was saying that they should define what is anti-vax and anti-science. And I had posted the reason why that was. And that was not me, quote unquote, trolling anybody. I would want to question anybody to find where I posted any kind of link on that particular post. It's a good thing that I actually took pictures of this post being made. And you might be able to find it on old Reddit or whatever. I'm not quite sure about how you go to find that kind of stuff. I tried old Reddit and I couldn't find much in the way of what I really wanted to find as far as deleted post or anything like that. But it's a real good thing that I had known where to go and how to capture this, because if I did not, you might not be able to have the proof that there was no link that I provided in there. Now, maybe I didn't source whether or not this was entirely accurate in that people were determining for themselves what these words meant to them. But it is factual that we have seen a lot of people who have been for vaccinations or for mitigation been called anti-vax because they were asking a few questions about this particular vaccine. And that is unfair to those people on the left wing who have been critical, who have been wondering whether or not we are doing the right thing. And it is unfair to them to be called right wing just because they might have a different point of view. They might have a different perspective. And that's the type of people I would like to ask this for, is those people who want a definition for these words, a definition of what they consider anti-science or anti-vaccination. So we know where the limits are, we know where their line is, and we know for a fact where they stand. That way, if they try to broaden the scope, we can go back to what they said before and say, wait a minute, now you're changing the rules. By not defining what they mean by that, they can do whatever they want and it's still within the boundaries because they didn't set the boundaries. Let's say for a moment that a unposted speed limit would be 25, right? However, if the laws in your official driver handbook did not say that, and there was a enforced speed limit on those roads that didn't post the speed limit, how would you know how fast you were allowed to go? And if you were a police officer, how would you be able to enforce that? It paves the way for people to abuse those laws, to be able to say, hey, this is vague enough for me to go after somebody who I don't like on the basis that they were breaking a rule that was never defined in clear terms. It has set unfair boundaries because there is no boundaries here. And it seems to be the same tactic, being called right wing, being called anti-vax, anti-science, what have you, or a Fox News hack, which I doubt the mass majority of people who are questioning, who are just asking whether or not everything is safe, are rushing and trying to find a seat to watch Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity. I have high doubts that's what they're doing. Because in case you didn't notice, both MSNBC and Fox News love to criticize each other by showing you footage from that channel. So they're pretty much promoting each other. So they're pretty much in the same boat here. They're just trying to pretend they're on different sides here. They're both corporate shills. They're both trying to get your money. CNN's the same way. So they're going to try to use whatever means they can and tap to an audience that believes that they want to hear these types of things, trying to find that particular audience in order to gain the advertiser revenue. That's what they do. That's why they're in business. That's what they are trying to do. That's why you see Fox News all of a sudden begin to care about cancel culture, begin to care about Walt Skolds ruining Twitter. That's why you see them suddenly care about that when they never did before. And their side, the right-wing side, has employed cancel culture before, has employed these types of tactics before. They think that they can capture that audience, when in reality, they'll do it just as long as there is money to be had there. When the majority of people on YouTube who are posting these videos, which people like Reset Error love to complain about that we exist, have been saying this for 4 years now. And all of a sudden they want to pretend that they're on our side? Yeah, right. Now, I have tried to reach out to somebody concerning this particular moderator because from what I posted when I tried to inform people about this ban that I had on one of the subreddits, I did get somebody responding to me saying that this particular moderator has been really draconian and has been throwing the weight around recently, saying that certain things are misinformation or not civil, and have been throwing out bans lately. Because the coronavirus subreddit has now been seeing an influx of people who don't exactly take Fauci for his word, who don't exactly tout the same viewpoints that the moderators seem to tout. So instead of being honest with people, instead of letting people see the entirety of the facts, they are beginning to do what Reset Era does. If they don't agree with the administrators and moderators, they'll just outright ban them and will not listen to you trying to appeal, which I actually did try, and I am waiting for a response. Hopefully I do get one. I am not holding my breath and saying that I will get one, because it does seem as though this is somebody throwing their weight around. However, unlike Reset Era, Reddit can do something about this. Higher ups on Reddit can do something about this. If there's a moderator there that is throwing the weight around and is actively attempting to weed out and purge anybody who dares to go against what they believe is the correct science, then that has to be addressed. And because Reddit touted this particular subreddit, in which it was the quote-unquote official subreddit for this subject, then they have to be more on the ball about this stuff. They have to be more vigilant about whether or not they're going to enforce their own Reddit rules for this particular subreddit. It can't be a double standard here. They have to be more adept at enforcing rules on all sides. But also, this is exactly what we're talking about here. If you are somebody who is trying to question from the left, if you're a left-wing leading person and you're trying to get a question answered and this is all you ever get, are you going to stick with the left-wing side, or are you going to see what the right-wing side has to offer? This is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and us left-leaning people, us truly liberals who have been telling people this for 4+ years now, that stuff like this is happening, and this is going to cause a civil war on the left wing, where moderate Democrats and progressive Democrats cannot stand each other and want the other side out of the party completely. And never mind not on the same page, we're not even in the same playbook, and we're throwing out the other playbook. We gotta get on the same page. We gotta get into the same book here. If all these certain people are going to do is to call anybody who disagrees with them a right-wing hack or anti-this or anti-that, and they're not going to get on the same page and don't bother, they don't care to do so because they believe they have the right frame of mind, and they're going to throw to the curb anybody who would be on their side if it wasn't for them being woke scolds, and are using a very serious disease, a very serious threat to human health as a way to divide us even more because they can't stand anybody disagreeing with them even in the slightest bit, then we have a huge problem with the left wing right now. We have a very huge problem, and we cannot address it until we stop listening to people like the Young Turks. We stop doing this kind of stuff. We stop being woke skulls. We start understanding that if someone on the left wing is talking, you need to be quiet for 2 minutes and actually listen and actually answer as if you're ready to be challenged on your opinion and are ready to back up your opinions with pure facts that doesn't come from somebody who is questionable themselves. The answer to these challenges are not to say, I know what I said, and then block someone on Twitter. Because if you want to lose everybody to the right wing, you're doing a damn good job of it by doing that. Because honestly, in the United States, it shouldn't have to come to 2 runoff elections in Georgia in order for you to flip the Senate. That should have told you something. If they voted Joe Biden in, but then the Senate was up for grabs for that long, that should have told you a lot. And no, the right wing is not innocent in this either, because they're all just bending down and bending the knee for Trump all the time. I don't know what's going on there. But if us liberals are going to win back the people that we're losing right now, we gotta stop this war that we have. And this is not helping. If this is the only answer anybody ever has to us asking what your definition is for anti-science or anti-vaccination, if the only recourse is to shield somebody from the question or to just blow off the question or to ban anybody who dares to ask a question, then we're in big trouble. And we're going to go to a civil war, and there's going to be no end in sight about it. And there's no sense in it happening. But I can see it taking shape now. You can't keep calling people right-wing hacks. You can't keep just blowing off arguments because you happen to hear on a Fox News one night. Just because it's on Fox News doesn't mean it's only the right-wing people that are sharing that argument. They're just saying it because they feel as though they're capturing that untapped audience, when YouTube has already done that. And they're doing a fine good job at it, and guess what? They're not all right-wing hacks. There's Matt Jarbo and Rich of Review Tech USA who have been left-leaning and may not agree with me about the whole idea of wearing masks and stuff like that. But you know what? They're also against cancel culture. They're also against woke scolds. And yeah, I've defended both of them. If we don't want to go down this road, we have to stop doing stuff like this. I'll update you whether or not anything changes out of this. I doubt it will because of what I've been hearing about this particular moderator. However, if I get anything back about this particular moderator, I will call him out here on this channel because I feel as though this has to be addressed. If this is the official subreddit for this particular topic, it has to be maintained fairly and respectful to all opinions and all facts. And if these moderators are going to continue to do this and pull reset era on this topic and in this subreddit, then fortunately for Reddit, they can do something about it on an administrative level. Let's hope they decide to do that if it turns out this moderator is in fact not playing with clean hands here. My name's JD Shadow, and that just happened.